I was playing with a little color there. That's actually really close to the lighter beige they offered for this truck. Still indecisive. I was gonna go the factory a little darker, but I always kind of liked the lighter one. I don't know, we'll see. I got some work done on the bed. I think in the last video I showed how I got it pretty straightened out. Both the bed sides are at right angles again to the floor. Brought the floor up in those corners, down there and there. Those are flat. And treated the crap out of the rest. Scuffed it really good. Gave it a couple of really good coats of Rust-Oleum primer. But now, today, I'm gonna get in here. You can see this is all kicked back. I've had things slide up here and hit it over the years, and I've got debris and some screws and stuff stuck down in there in that gap that didn't used to be there. So I'm gonna get in there and dig those out. Got me a screwdriver and a pick and a magnet, and then we'll dust this out and get to work on this. I'm gonna double wall. I'm actually gonna double wall all of this, all three sides. But I'm gonna work on this today. But first I gotta clean this up, get that out of the way. And then this I'll have to address when I get the bed off, because that's caved in. I've got to beat it back in a little bit from the other side. I'm gonna put some light gauge angle to kind of match this all the way across the bottom, and then a few verticals, maybe some square tubing. I got some square tubing that might work to fill in this gap for vertical support, maybe 3 or 4 places. This will get screwed or riveted back to it, give it some rigidity. And then of course, once this is all cleaned up and the bed's off, next go around I can get all that back in place and retack the welds underneath and get that tightened up. And then this is going to get faced inside, and then of course the whole thing's going to get bed lined once I get to that point. But first things first, I gotta clean that out. Got all the big chunks out. We'll get down in there with a little brush and blow it all out. For these surfaces, because it kicks in a little here, this measures, let's see, about 1 inch deep from the surface of this to that vertical right there, the face of that vertical. It's almost 1 inch. Or actually the face of that vertical is just about 1 inch. So what I'm gonna do is I've got some 1 inch, so I'm gonna make some verticals, probably the middle of each of these, as well as that angle across the bottom, and that'll let me face off to this, to the face of that on both sides. But I'll have like a 1 inch square tube there and there and there, and then some angle on the bottom, light gauge angle, and that'll give me some nice support to face that off. So I'm gonna dig out that 1 inch and get to work cleaning it up. I think I'd been tinkering or something. Obviously, first I'm going to cut all these off. Recycle this tubing. Got another piece down there. More than enough. Then I'm going to put the camera down, get these cleaned up, and cut the size. Something a little like that. And of course, I'll still get a little angle at the base there. And then we'll get it faced off. A little something like that. I'm gonna pull those back out right now and clean them up. Get them primered. I don't know if I have gray, any gray left, or just some red oxide. I'll have to see. Well, there's a semi-finished product. I think what I'm going to do across the top is seam sealer and rivets. Nice and even. One step closer. And then we got that nice, that's pretty sturdy. These two corners. I got to make some supports. Go around the fender and up and down, of course. And then we'll get that faced off like this. I got to come up with some material. But I'm tired of a single wall. Single wall. Always getting dinged. Although this thing ain't gonna be hauling engines and transmissions and big loads anymore. It'll haul a little bit of camping gear maybe sometimes. Spare tire. That's about it. And she's got some imperfections. That's a decent gap there. I'll probably I'll get that back in shape. Maybe a little nut and bolt, some seam sealer, fix that seam sealer. But there's a few things I'm not going to worry about, like it's going to get bed lined. You know, a few dings like that. Holes from an old roll bar. I'm not going to worry about those. Little character. This old beater does have some history. Got it dirty working on it today. And I got those guys in. Those were a pain. There's lots of material there. And those sheet metal screws are holding really tight, although I might do something a little different there. More like this down the road, because it's just a nicer look. But that's like double, maybe triple walled where those went. Those are biting really good. These, it's only single wall, one layer of sheet metal, and that needed to be nutted and bolted, and I like the carriage bolt look. But here on the passenger side, to get at the nuts underneath, I had to drop the fuel tank, which is okay because it had to come out anyway. Get that cleaned out. One more little, I don't know if I'd call it an obstacle, but that was the only way to get at those. Before I get too far off into this, I want to thank our sponsor. Bet you didn't know we had a sponsor, but I have a sponsor, and I need to thank my wife. She's been very patient and continues to be very patient, and as long as I get some other things done every day, I get to play on this and record and have fun. So shout out to my wife. I love you. Mouse poop. Wonderful. I think I'll start pulling some of this apart and see how this floor is in here. Come on. Hope the wiring's all right. Probably soak that to get it out. need that anymore. Haven't needed that in years. It's a rat's nest. That will be in pretty good shape. Get this carpet ripped out. Time to get busy. Don't need no hantavirus. Yuck. A little surface rust, that's no big deal. This floor, aside from being dirty, is actually still in really good shape. Yeah, we'll get it cleaned out and treated. And maybe bed line before I put a carpet kit in it again or whatever. Got rat urine in here. So soak some of that in some bleachy water. And I'm going to take a look at this with the wire wheel a little bit closer. I know I'm kind of doing some of these things a little bit out of order, or at least what would be typical when you first pull something like this out of a barn. But when we got it out here, and I saw how bad that bed was rusting when we first hosed it off and started pulling junk out of the back, that stuck in my head and I wanted to know how bad it was, and I just got carried away tackling that. The bed is good on this side. It's got a little flash rust underneath, and one of the frame rails that goes horizontal left and right up in there, the bottom side, it's got some pretty good rust on it, scale. But when I get the bed off and flip it over, we'll pressure wash all the loose stuff off, wire brush the next bit of loose stuff, and then start sanding and grinding and aciding and all that good stuff. So with the bed finally to this point where I'm not so worried about it, although I was having fun doing that, but I kind of needed to do that so I can kind of determine my game plan for the rest. But now that the bed's pretty good, finally ripping the inside out, which is what most people would have done first thing. But again, that rust got to me in the bed. This has got a little here. That looks pretty good there. It still feels solid. And again, soaking this with some bleachy soapy water. And then I'm going to start wire wheeling this and see how bad this really is. Underneath looks fine, but I want to be able to treat it, get the loose stuff off and rust reform it and treat it really good and not miss anything. So we'll see how that goes. Well, the weekend's getting away from me, but this has been bleached and is now soaking in degreaser. Got that soap tip real good. Gonna get to scrubbing and see what kind of damage I've got. That's gonna be it for this one. Not a whole lot, but at least it's something. Got a bunch done on the bed, some off camera, and the seats out, and that trashed old carpet out, and plastic trim. I don't know what you call it, but it's like plastic covering. It's just brittle, like paper mache snapping off in little pieces with no effort at all. But I'll get it all scrubbed out and fix any rust I find, or at least treat it, depending on how bad it is. And then we'll undercoat it, or sound deaden it, or bed line it, something to keep it protected. And then down the road we'll do a carpet kit, or I don't know, maybe I'll go a little more utilitarian and put a rubber mat in there. I don't know, we'll see. My son wants me to do carpet, So we'll probably do a carpet kit. Anyway, that's it for this one. Y'all have a wonderful Sunday evening, and we'll see what I can get done this coming week. She's still beautiful.